empower, educate, encourage your women to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. Into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more will we feel isolated and cast aside. I want you to come up and down. Just don't be afraid of your heart. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. So our dreams are show with Coach Trish Hanna.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to your Lane Talk Show with your coach, Trish Hanna, broadcasting live from the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have so much to talk about today. For those who are listening to us for the first time, welcome to the show. Your Lane Talk Show was created to educate, empower, and encourage women of all ages. And like I've been saying for a while, I also honor and welcome our male listeners as well. And today, this show is gender neutral. So I mean, bring them on. Bring the male, bring the female, bring the cat, bring the dog. Everyone have goals. The cat and dog have goals. Trust me. Ask them; they'll tell you. Last week we kicked off the first show of the year, episode 82. The title was Maintaining Spiritual Discipline in a Busy World with our guest, Apostle Rosemary Pena. Oh, she was fire. When I tell you she was fire, she was fire. For those who missed it, woo, we discussed things that can help us to be more consistent with our relationship with God. I know it's so hard for us, for people to try to balance life, the importance in trying to balance. Of course, she spoke about is just knowing your priorities, knowing what comes first. And of course, to do that, we start with putting God first in everything that we do. As soon as we wake up, we honor him. You know, she spoke about some strategies that she used. She gets up at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, she does her devotions. You know, she prays with her congregation at times. You know, she spoke about reading and studying the word of God. She spoke about fasting. Of course, so much more that you can do to help increase, enhance, to help to be consistent with your relationship. All right. That's one of the goals that people will have at the beginning of the year. Hey, I wanna develop a deeper relationship with God. Don't we all? Don't we all? But if we keep on saying the same thing every year and doing nothing about it, or we say this is what we're gonna do, and then we just slide, you know, we backslide, or we allow things to be the head of what we want versus what the allowing God to be the head of what we want. We find ourselves back in that same state, you know, of wanting. And so I would encourage you to listen to episode 82, Maintaining Spiritual Discipline in a Busy World. While you are there on YouTube, it's Coach Trish Hanna. All right. So you can go on YouTube, Coach Trish Hanna. Please like and subscribe. Okay. Yeah. Like and subscribe. That's important. All right. Because you want to start with that. You want to start with that. I know that we all have different goals with different areas of our lives, but I would also honestly recommend that you ensure that that particular goal is set and straight before we go into any other goals. Because it honestly doesn't make sense going into something and you realize that that was not the plan and purpose that God had for you. So you have rerouted your purpose and destination because you're doing what you want, and then you find yourself unhappy, or you find that things are not working the way that you want them to, versus coming to or going to the creator, the manufacturer, the one who actually knows you from the beginning to the end. He knows, he's the first and the last. He knows everything about you. He actually knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So he knows what you should be doing, where your focus should be, where your energy should be, where you should be spending your time, etc. So you go to him to ask, what should I be doing? And then you find that, hey, while I'm fulfilling purpose, it's so much easier. Life is so much easier. I find that easier now, because life could be a little difficult, but easier because you know that you are walking in purpose. It's a beautiful feeling, right? All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time to share the page and tag. All right. We live in a world. Of course, I just want to talk about the past. That was last week. Now we on to this week. We got to get on board. We in a world brimming with dreams and aspirations. And we often find ourselves standing at the crossroads of intention and realization. I want to do this, but I wonder if this can happen. I want to fulfill this, but I know if I should do this. How do we bridge the gap between envisioning our goals and actually bringing them into fruition? Well, that's the question we're tackling head on today. We will be unraveling practical strategies that not only ignite our ambitions, but also propel us into decisive action, which is so vital. We want to equip you with the tools needed to turn your plans into tangible achievements. It's not just about dreaming big, it's about taking intentional steps towards the realization of those dreams. So it's more than just saying, I'm putting this on paper. It's about, okay, how do I get what I put on paper into something that I can actually work and use and see and be fulfilling, So I need you to call your dream board friends, because I know y'all done had your dream board party, right? Call them up, because the year's still fresh. And if you haven't had your dream board party as yet, still call them and let them tune in today, because there's a lot that is going to be unraveled today. I promise you. I want you to go and call the person who have been saying they wanted to start their business from but 10 years ago and they ain't started yet. That person who is good at what they do, they're good at baking, and they bake at home, but then they don't know how to actually go and start the business so that they can get a greater income on what they're doing, that they can actually be what's the word I want to use? They can have a profit with the talent and the gift that they have. They don't know how to do it, right? Call that person who wants to go back to school. Call the person who wants to start that ministry and they're afraid. Call you. Call yourself. Listen in today, because I promise you, your life is going to be changed before the end of the show. I guarantee it. I know it. I could feel that. I can feel that. All right. So you can let them, for those who may not be home, you can tune into Star 106.5 FM dial or channel 976 on cable, or you can log onto Facebook on Your Lane Life Coaching Facebook page to watch us live. Now, my predictions for this episode, Odessa looks really nice today. Last week, she didn't want to be on camera, but she looks really nice. I think I want to ask her to come on camera just for 2 seconds so she could tell me what she thinks this episode is going to be like. I don't know if you're familiar with our guest today. Are you? So I want you to tell me, because I don't know how comical she is, so I can't say what percentage of laughter we will get today. She's not ahead like that, Amy. I give that to somebody else, that Amy. So what do you think, Odessa? Let's make sure she's on camera now.
Are you on camera, girl?
You're on camera? Good.
Yeah.
So how do you think today's broadcast?
So our broadcast today will be 15% laughter.
Really?
Yes. You see, she's very colorful.
Really?
She's very bold and vivacious. So she's gonna give us some laughter,
Okay.
and then I think we're gonna have about 80% aha moments, and somebody may be like, they might share 5% here.
5%.
Maybe.
5%.
Maybe.
But why do you think they can cry?
Because they can be like, you mean I could have done this all this time?
Wow.
Yeah, like
Wow.
it was so simple all this time.
Right.
Yeah.
And somebody just came there, unlocked that. Whatever that was that they was going, like they were stuck
right there.
Right? So
Right
they
there.
opened that door that they felt stuck in, right? I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Let's see what she's saying. The Your Lane episode 83. Strategies for goal achievement, turning plans to action is brought to you by the Perfume Bar. Hey, that's what we got a new
You
sponsor.
say that?
Yes, girl. John Schuster and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Bahama Ordnance Party Supplies, and Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. So I'm going to introduce our guest to you today. Okay. Our guest today is none other than Keshelle Davis. I like to call her Coach Keshelle. I don't know if she will allow me. She may just tell me call her Keshelle. But
It's fine.
Keshelle is fine. She said,
Either
Keshelle
one.
Davis is a globally recognized business coach. She's the CEO of the Training Authority, an award-winning business education and consulting organization in the Bahamas, and is now a certified AI specialist. She is the former executive director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, Chamber Institute. In 2017, she won the prestigious Icon Award in Commerce for her almost 2 decades of work in the training and development industry. Named one of the Bahamas' top 40 under 40, Keshelle's work has been featured in the UK, US, Canada, and Australia, including Global Woman magazine. She has worked with notables such as Sharon Letcher of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich for Women, and served as a speaker at Les Brown event. She is an author of 2 books and the creator of popular programs like the Dreamboard Party Experience. See, look at God. The Boardroom, Making It Real Method, and more. Her mission is to spread knowledge so that together we can progress our world. Beyond her professional achievements, Keshelle is a passionate traveler, ocean lover, wife, and mother to 1 daughter. I love it. I love it. You see, God don't lead me astray, you know. When He put these people in my spirit to say, call them and I call them up, look at that. You had everything that I wanted and who I would I don't even know, because obviously I didn't know this before you sent this to me. So I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to join us at Your Lane Talk Show.
I am so excited. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Trish, and everyone else. I'm excited to be here. You know, this is a topic that I've talked about, I've studied, I've taught on for more than a decade. And so I'm ready to have this conversation. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Now, before we do this, I give God thanks that you are here. But before we do this, I want you to honor your husband, please, Mom. Let me tell you something about this show, Your Lane Talk Show. Let me tell you something. When you are a spouse on this show, we ensure that you acknowledge and honor your spouse,
Yes,
the head
yes,
of your
yes.
home, your priest, prophet, and king. I would like you to take a moment, please. Just acknowledge him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Glenn, Pastor Glenn, Professor Glenn, both all of his hats that he wears. I want to really take this opportunity to highlight and say hello to my king.
Yes.
He is someone that I adore. We celebrate 10 years of marriage next month.
Oh, wow.
And so I am excited to just be his helpmeet and his support, his partner. And I'm just excited for him to be, he's here in spirit. So because he always supports everything that I do. So hello, Dr. Glenn Davis.
Listen, He doesn't say, I love your guest. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I know you would love my guest today. All right. Thank you so much. And I love that. And one thing I can honestly say about the show, I know that one of the many things that God has called me for is definitely marriage and relationships. And we want to ensure that we continue our quest and
we both be marriage directors in our church. So that's ordained.
Oh, definitely calling them back. And when y'all come back together. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Just letting y'all know. Y'all coming back together, God's willing. And we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this right. All right. So everyone who is tuning in now, please get your notebook and your pen because this can be I don't think I'm overwhelmed how excited I am because I've heard I know what you're capable of. I've heard you and I've seen you in action. And I know that there are people who are stuck,
Mm-hmm.
people who want to get whatever their dreams
Yeah.
and aspirations are off the paper, but they don't know what to do with it. You
Yeah.
have people who start and then they stop,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, why do I feel so trapped?
Yeah.
And so I want you to know, for those who are tuning in via radio, via Facebook, via cable 976, that help is on the way. Okay. So before I'm going to do a little icebreaker. This is
Mm-hmm.
simple.
Okay.
Reflecting on your own experiences,
Okay.
right? I want you to share a specific instance where you have had like a well thought strategy
Mm-hmm.
in achieving a either personal or professional goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you testifying.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you're saying, okay, this. If there was like a roadblock and how you overcame that. So let's hear what you've been through, and then
Mm.
we'll go ahead with our
Okay. I
questions.
love this. I love this question.
Yeah.
So starting off, I've always been someone who's goal focused,
Yes.
visionaire, vision focused, future focused, goal focused. That's
Mhm.
always been me.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm so interesting. I'm happy that you talked about the dream boards, right? Because
Yes.
I did create this program called the Dream Board years ago,
Yes.
Dream Board Party Experience. And one of the things that I always say is, people need to move from just creating dream boards and then to know how to turn their dream board into dream lives.
Wow.
And so when I share my story, or when I think of my story over the last, I would say, decade or
Mhm.
so, maybe almost 2 decades now, I was always good with creating the dream, right? I know what it is. From growing up, I knew I had the life ready, planned out. I said I want to live like the people on TV. That
Yes.
used to be me. Like all the travel and all the wealth and all the stuff. I
Yes.
had that in my mind for a
Yes.
very long time, and I did very well very early on in my career. So I started off. I graduated at 16. Started in the banking industry
Mhm.
immediately after that, and I knew that there was something destined for me from a young age.
Mhm.
Graduated at 16, started CUB back then,
Yes, you'll be.
but got pregnant at 17.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. So bright future, graduated top of my class, youngest in my class, everything going well.
Yeah.
Um, I knew what my vision was. I didn't know what career path I would have
Yeah.
taken, but I knew that I wanted to do something great.
Mhm. Mhm.
Got pregnant at 17. I was told by a family member back then that I'd messed up my life.
Yeah.
Of course, and that's I think that's a natural reaction. I was
Right.
a teenage mother. I'd
Yeah.
graduated
Teenage.
school, but I was a
Yeah.
teenage mother, bright future. Parents were pastors. Let me add that in there.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Yes.
Right? And just coming out of school, life ahead of you, and you announce that you're having a child. And what that did for me, though, it put fire under me.
Mhm.
It put fire under me. And I don't know, I've kind of reconciled that this probably was a negative thought process, but my thought process back then was, I'm going to show you.
Okay.
I'm going to show you.
Mhm.
Right? You tell me I messed up my life, I'll show you. And that was the driving force for me really looking at what it takes to succeed.
Yeah.
And so from there, I started CUB, but I didn't finish. And I didn't finish not because I had my daughter. I didn't finish because I didn't feel aligned with what I was learning at
As you
CUB.
be.
I was always entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So when my daughter was 3, I left my good government job. I had a
Mhm.
really good job. At that time, I was making more than my mother. I'm doing well. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to start my own business. I want to be free. Freedom
Yeah.
is one of my values. And I left my good government job. I like to say good government job,
Yeah.
quotes,
Yeah.
because, anyway, that's a whole other path.
Mhm.
And I started on my journey towards entrepreneurship. And I was successful in building a business that has grown to multiple 6 figures, has been featured almost around the world. And and I've got to pour into in my career, my training and development career. The business is more training and development. I would say close to 10,000 people over my career.
My goodness.
Right. And I'm not just calling that number.
Right.
I've done the math.
Yeah.
And so so that was the path. Now, were there obstacles? Absolutely. Obstacles from going completely broke. The first year in my business, my car got repossessed 3 times.
Wow.
Not just once, 3 times. And that was a time when I had to look back and say, do I really want to be in business? Do I have what it takes to be in business? Should I go and get a good job? All of that stuff kept coming up. And I didn't. I stuck with it because I knew that, you know what? This is the life that I want.
Yeah.
This is the dream that I have for myself. This is the vision that I have for myself. And I stuck with it, and I stuck with it. And I had to find mentors to teach me.
Yeah.
I had to learn from people who were ahead of me, who had done what I wanted to do. I had to study. I had to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice being, listen, I want to go out and have fun, but no, I have a business to build.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to a seminar to learn, and I'm spending my very last dollar. I'm not even talking about, you have a stash at somewhere. No, my very last dollar to travel to conferences to make me better.
Yeah.
And so there were lots of things that happened throughout that career. And I think when I talk about making it real, and that's the term that I use, when I talk about vision and goal, I was just committed to, no matter what, going broke, raising a child as a single teenage mother, sacrificing to, so many sacrifices. The stories will come out, I think, as we talk too. It all goes back to, one, is it the purpose that God has for me? That's always my thing. Because if it is, this is the purpose. There's nothing else for me to do. That's how I look at it. And then I don't believe in settling for something that's less than what I see for myself.
Come on.
And so for me, whenever I get to this place where there's a roadblock or an obstacle, I'm like, all right, you can settle here, or you can keep pushing. I ain't about to settle.
No.
So let's just keep moving. That's how I operate.
I love that. Remind me of Ricky, I can sing your song. Don't come for me. I'm not settling.
Oh, see that? Listen, I haven't heard that in a while. Okay, I need to find that song again.
I love that. I love that. You said so many key points in that. You're not settling. Whenever there's an obstacle, you find a way to get over it. You spoke about how, this is so important. And I wanted to talk about this further down, but I have to mention it because you said it. You said even in your mistakes, there was someone who tell you, hey, you messing up your life, or you will mess up your life. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because we know you do have people who speak negatively, or who try to bring you down, or who try to discourage you when you're trying to move ahead in your life. Right? So we're going to start with the basics though, right? And the basics is, in your view, to find a successful strategy for goal achievement. What does that look like? Why is it so crucial for individuals to actually have a strategy? Yeah,
I love this question. And it's no one size fit all question, right? Because what success looks like to me, or what I want success to be for me, is completely different from all of us in this room. And so it's one. However, though, there are 12 principles that I talk about. And the principles, I have to give honor to where honor is due. This principles is from the book, The Power and Purpose of Vision, from Dr. Miles Monroe.
Yeah.
I have read that book frontward, backward, upside down, inside out. I know that book, and that's what I teach on, those 12 principles. And not only teach on it, I've proven it.
Yeah.
These I study. I'm like, okay, when something is out of order for me,
let me go back to these steps.
I'm like, okay, which one of these principles am I violating? That's the question I always ask. And so the first principle is clarity. Clarity. There's a saying by Zig Ziglar, people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. A lot of people want more. Everyone is saying more in 2024. That's everyone talking about it. But what does more actually look like for you? It cannot be vague. it cannot be vague. I mean, it could be vague, but then you'll have a vague result
Yeah.
as well. So how clarity around what do you actually want? And there's lots of categories. That's why I always love the dream board, because it's a visual representation of what you want. You know, you can't just say you want a car, and car is very superficial. That's the first thing at the top of my mind. But, you know, what kind of car? If you say you want to travel, where do you want to go? So be very specific. If you say you want a stronger career, what does that look like? Right? How much money do you want to make? All of that stuff. And so the first step is clarity and defining, writing that vision, making it plain.
Love that.
See it, say it, write it down. So you need to be able to see it, you need to be able to vocalize it, and you need to be able to have a written document. So three of those pieces makes your vision clear.
Clarity, that's number one. Listen, I hope you all have your pen and papers. Clarity is number one.
And it's so simple, you know. But like you say, so many people are stuck, because I coach all week.
Yeah.
And when I always ask, okay, what do you want to get out of our coaching call? The majority of people say clarity.
Yeah.
The majority. And people are stuck because they're not clear.
I love that. So get your pen and paper. We're going to take a quick break. So if you didn't have a chance to go get a pen and paper, you can do it now on this break. Clarity is number one. All right. Because we're going to move on. There's 12. We have 11 more to go. So we want to make sure we get all of that in so that you be able to be set free from just being stuck. All right. So right after this, we'll get to hear more.
Listen, I could talk for 2 hours now. Y'all just knowing to talk.
That's
stuff
all right.
me.
I love it. No, I love it.
Just knowing to stop me.
For those who are tuning in to Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for supporting us today. And Coach Keshelle Davis, thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for making sure she comes out looking so beautiful today on the show. So you'll be missing out for about an hour and a half. That's it. That's all. And I'll make sure that she gets to you safely on this good Sunday, this good blessed Sunday. And so if you do have any questions or you want to say something or make a statement, go right ahead. You can post it on Facebook. We'll try to read it or post it on the live there. All right. For you. You may have questions for Coach Keshelle. Just let us know. I love the fact that clarity is number one, because you can't say I want goals and I want to do this and I want to do that, and you don't know what you want. And you realize when you vague, it's good to know, but then when you're vague, it's like, okay, you still wasting time, because you over here trying to do something and you realize that it ain't working. Then you over here and you're doing something, you're like, that ain't really what it is.
Absolutely.
You know, so
vague is I want to start a business this year. Okay, that's vague.
What kind of business?
What kind of business?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so that's the work. Clarity is what type of business you want to create.
Yeah.
Because
who
I
would be your
can't
target
help you.
audience.
All of that.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I can't help you make the vision real.
Right.
So that's a big piece.
That's a big piece. So, and I like, while we're on the break, we're going to go there for those who want to start a business. What type of business? Where do you want it to be? Is it going to be brick and mortar? Or is it going to, you're going to have it in your home? Is it going to be, you're going to have a website?
What do you want to sell?
What do you want to sell? Who's your target audience? Where, how do they look? How do you think, who you think will accept your product or your service? All right. So be more specific with that. She's going to tell you all of that, right? Okay, good. She's going to tell you all of that. I just hear on the side. I have to pull myself away. And I also coach as well. So it's like we know how this thing goes. But it's so good to know that we get help. We have help for free.
Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
For those of you who are just coming in, thank you so much for tuning in. We are broadcasting live on Star 106.5 FM under the topic Strategies for Goal Achievement, turning plans to action. And we have with us our guest, Coach Keshelle Davis. And she is talking about, she has 12 steps that she wants to share to help us to get these goals and visions and stuff that we have on paper into something that is tangible, something that you can actually go ahead and put into action. And the very first step that she made is clarity. So obviously, if you want to have your business, you want to write your book, you want to do your ministry, you want to be able to go back to college. What college you want to go to? What do you want to take up?
Mhm.
You know, what how many years will it take for you to pursue that certification or that diploma, etc.? Um, know these things. Do the research. Look at me talking again. This is her job. This help me,
Listen,
Jesus.
I get it.
But
You
we
coach.
doing it
You
together.
coach.
All right, let's do it together. All right, but this is her job. Let's go to step 2. Let's go to step 2.
So clarity, yes, right. So step 2 is potential. And why is step 2 potential? Because sometimes when we get that clarity, we tend to doubt whether or not we have it in us to
Yeah.
achieve, right? I remember one time that there was a year, 2015, I went to this conference. It was a faith move to get to this conference. I'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back for this conference, when I thought I had a goal and a vision, when I thought it was clear, I came back and my vision was expanded tenfold.
Wow.
And I remember sitting on the beach by Goodman's Bay, and I wrote a new vision. And I remember still to this day, the butterflies, like this, almost like this fear, this dread come over me. And I was like, Jesus, I can't do this.
Wow.
This is just too big for me. And that leads to this top step, because when we begin to define our vision, especially if God has given us the vision, we will begin to believe that it's too big. I can't do it. Wow, that's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so potential is the next step, because it's now remembering that, listen, I have potential. If I have the vision, if God has given me the vision and the goals and the dreams, I have the potential to make that vision real.
Mm-hmm.
And potential also has to define, who do I need to become in order to make that goal real? That's something that people don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go, but they don't realize that they have to become a certain type of person. They have to become a new version of themselves. And they don't realize that. And a lot of times it may be, how do we define our potential or expand our potential? You may have to develop some skills. Go back to school. Learn something else, right? So if you want to start an online business and don't know computers, so how do you expand that potential? Who is teaching something online? If you want to write a book and don't know the process of, that to get execute and launch and publish the book, find someone who can teach you. And so it's defining expanding our potential, maximizing our potential by defining and developing our skill sets so that we can become who we need to become.
As we go through these steps, real quick, I thought about people who may be suffering from or dealing with imposter syndrome and inferiority complexes. This seem to be the step 2. This potential is actually one of the many reasons why people don't want to go ahead and move further. How would you advise those who may be going through that?
I would say, and you will find this comes up in another principle as well, but I would say you have to get out of yourself.
Okay.
You need to find a coach. You need to find a mentor. You need to find a community, because sometimes we don't see what we have in ourselves. Right? We're in the picture. We don't see it. We need to find someone else to remind us. And all of us experience that in some way, shape, or form. But who do you have in your corner who can say, girl, you tripping? What? You realize what you have in you. You realize what you've done. You realize what you've achieved. You realize. And so all of the time, we need to have those people who remind us of our purpose, our skill sets, our achievements, etc. And then, of course, sometimes we have to borrow their beliefs.
Yeah.
And I've done it before.
Oh
yeah, you have to borrow
that.
someone else's belief, because sometimes we don't have it in ourselves.
Gosh.
But you have to find people who believe in you.
Accountability partners. I love that. Dessa, are you borrowing somebody's belief? Have you ever done that? No?
Well, I've done it.
Yeah, listen. Coach Keshelle, I absolutely love that, because there are going to be moments when you feel so despondent that you can't carry it yourself. The weight of the vision that you have, you feel as if
Absolutely.
you can't
Oh
do it.
yes.
And here you have that accountability, but you can do it, you can achieve it, you can get it done. You have so much of right. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you gotta
Mm-hmm.
carry their
Borrow
belief and borrow
this,
it for 2 seconds
for a little
or
while.
one little season or two,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
If someone believes in you more than you believe in yourself, go
absolutely.
stick with that person.
And I always go back to vision. If you have the vision, that means it's for you.
It's for you.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have the dream. It
I-
wouldn't show up in your spirit, in your mind, in your heart. And so it's for you. So if you have to say, okay, I holding on to you, and I need you to talk to me every day until do that.
Let me read some of these real quick. Someone says, stomp on those limiting beliefs. They would prevent you from moving forward. Um, Borrow someone else's belief of you.
See?
Borrowing someone's belief. I have borrowed others' belief many times. Listen, that's what you got to do. You have to do that. I thought I read something. I thought I read something from Raquel. Borrow someone else's belief of you. Let me borrow this right quick, please, and thanks. That's it. That's what I wanted to read. Let me borrow your belief real quick. Yeah, thanks, thanks. So we got clarity. We have potential. What's step 3?
Step 3 is plan. Right. So now we have this big vision. We know what we want. We can see these things. We believe that we have the potential to fulfill our dreams. And so step 3 is to develop a concrete plan of action, right? So where my planners in the house. Any planners here? Any planners? Are you a planner?
Absolutely.
You a planner? I'm a visionary. I'm not a planner, y'all. But I realize that in order to take that big dream, that big vision and make it real, you have to be able to know, okay, how long does this process take? What are the dates? What are the details that we need to be able to break down that plan into strategic steps? And sometimes we only get a certain point in our goals and our dreams and our vision because we don't have the details. I remember my husband is a planner. Thank God, Jesus.
So you can't have everything. Go ahead. You commented.
Yes.
Listen, this is what I like to do. Sorry. When the spouses comment, I have to share it because I really have to. He says that sometimes you have to validate yourself if no one is around.
And that's
true.
another thing too. You have to do that. Absolutely. You have to encourage yourself.
I love that.
And so he's the planner. And so I remember one time in one year in our business, I would go to him and say, this is my so I'm a visionary. This is my big dream, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want. Every single time he would be a couple of simple phrases, we had a plan. And I would come back and be like, you're talking about next day, this is my big dream. And he's like, we had a plan. And I got so sick of him saying we had a plan. I created a whole event called the Planners Retreat. It's like, I need some planners with me, and we're going to sit down for a weekend and we're going to plan out the vision.
I love that.
And so sometimes we get stuck right there because I always use this analogy. We know that we want to get to the mall.
Yes.
But which roads we go into, which turns, what time are we leaving, all of those details, now we can get there without the plan, but it's going to be harder. It may be longer. It may be more frustrating. And so have the plan. And if you don't have that natural ability, find some people who do.
Come on.
Yes.
Listen, the reason why I love this, especially planning, is because you want to be able to do proper research. And I love how you use the scenario today. We had a marathon that took place, I think 2 marathons that took place today. If not. So let's say you wanted to go on Cable Beach Strip and you didn't know that. You would have been stuck right there in traffic.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Because you didn't do your research. You didn't plan another route to get to the location that you wanted to get to. So planning is so important. Planning also, this me again. You don't mind me sharing?
No, listen, do your thing.
Planning also helps you with your finances.
Oh, yes.
Because you saying, okay, I want to achieve this. All right, with this plan, how much would it take for me to do this? What am I investing in? If I want to do that trip to wherever on that, I want to do that cruise this year. How much would it take? What is the cost for me to do this trip?
Yes.
When is the best time for me to go? Because you don't want to go in hurricane season, because that's another thing.
Yep.
You understand? So planning,
and the planners see that so naturally. I have to give a shout out. My husband is the planner, so I so love him. And I also have a friend called Cherie Flowers. She is a master planner. Listen, I could be talking, And she'll be like, okay, so you can't do it in November because it's January now.
Yeah.
You can't do it in November because November this thing usually happen. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, how you get November?
You need one of them.
Right? And she's already going to each
Ahead.
month and saying, okay, this you have to keep watch out for this. This is the season for this. And I'm like, I keep her close.
That's what I'm saying. You have a planner in your circle.
So
It's
if you're not a
important.
natural planner, there are people who that they think in plans. You want to be able to keep them close.
Someone said she can't help it, Keshelle Davis. So you said her name, and someone apparently knows her.
Oh yes.
A plan is nothing, but planning is everything. Give the vision some legs to move. I love that, Raquel.
Yes.
Someone says Cherie Flowers is the planning princess.
Yes,
Man, stop
yes,
it. Without
Cherie
a
is the
plan, the way
plan.
forward will be rocky. I love that. So what is step 4?
Step 4 is passion.
Action.
Passion.
Okay.
And so you want to possess a passion for your goals. Now, why is this important? We know, and let me know if you've experienced this, Trish. You have this goal, you have the potential, you have the plan. Life happens. You get tired, you get frustrated, you get demotivated, you fall into a ditch, all of that stuff. Usually what passion does is it fuels you.
Come on.
And so whenever you feel like, okay, I can't do this anymore, that fuel literally drives you sometimes. How many of us have been so passionate about the vision that we can't sleep? There are many days I'm like, God, let me go to sleep, man. Let me sleep, right? Because I'm so passionate about what I'm working on. I cannot sleep. The ideas and the plans and the execution just is coming out. And so you want to make sure, is this something that I'm passionate about?
Yeah. And
if the answer is no, you may want to look at that, because when it gets tough,
come on.
When middle, I call it the messy middle. Because that's normal. The messy middle will show up. Do you have the passion to fuel you during those difficult times? And a lot of people get stuck, or they stop because they weren't passionate about it in the first place.
That's it there. That's it. If you don't have the passion, it doesn't make sense doing it. And that goes a lot with even choosing your career in life. That's the reason why you have so many that's the reason why you have so many people not happy in what they do, because they don't have the passion to do it. You have some people who start things, and like you said, they get the roads get rocky, things happen, their finances go down the drain, someone else is doing what they want to do, so they just shut things down. So you need to ask yourself, am I passionate about this?
I think what has kept me over my career, over 2 decades now of teaching development, is because I am absolutely passionate about what I do. People say, well, I remember someone asked, what has kept you all these years? I'm like, passion and purpose for sure. But I love what I do. And when it gets difficult, because it does, I'm like, but I love what I do.
Passion.
And so I don't see myself doing anything else, because I love what I do. And that fuels you. And you need that in your vision statement, or your vision and your goals as well.
I love that. Number 5.
Number 5 is a big one, y'all. You are ready for this one?
Yes, ma'am.
I could talk for 2 hours on this. It's an F word. Y'all guess it. Take a guess.
Focus.
Faith. You heard it. Faith.
Well, you gotta have faith. My girl said faith. That's the smart one over there.
Listen,
go ahead. Yeah, faith is important.
Faith, because when you put a vision and a goal out there, if you don't believe that it will be achieved, then why are you doing it? What's the purpose? Well, why? And a lot of people struggle with this. And I really pray, that more, especially believers and even non-believers, really own the fact. And I always say, if we believe in the word of God that said, God has sent his son. He loved us so much that he sent his son. And we know that scripture, we believe that. But we fail to remember the part of the Bible that talks about without faith, it's impossible to please God. And without faith, without works is dead. And so you need to be able to believe. Faith will test you. When it comes to your vision, it will test you. And I'll share a quick story. And I have lots of faith stories, Lord. I have crazy faith,
Mhm.
crazy
I love
faith. And
that.
I remember one year, again, my goal was to build a successful business,
Mhm.
a successful, globally recognized business.
Mhm.
And so there was a year that I got invited to the seminar. It was $3,000 to attend this seminar.
Mhm.
At that point, that was perhaps the most money I'd invested
Mhm.
in a program. And I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money. And um, what I ended up doing was I got a client to be able to cover the cost of the event. Um, and the tickets were $700.
Mhm.
Okay. 700. So I got the conference done. $700 was perhaps the last, all the money that I had.
Mhm.
My car was down, right? This was not the car that was repossessed, but it was, that was another
Mhm.
car. And I had a choice. Do I go on this plane, spend my absolute
Wow.
last that I had to scrap for, to invest in a conference that I wasn't sure was going to help me?
Wow.
Or do I stay home, save my money, and fix my car? And I grew up under the ministry of Dr. Miles Monroe. I always
Okay.
say, well, listen, I don't need to eat because I know how to fast for 21 days. So I need to eat. This is how I
Mhm.
rationalize in my
Mhm.
head now. Okay,
Mhm.
I need food. I need to eat. My daughter is good. My family, thank God for my mother, my father, my family. They always support it. Okay, she good. My car, I know that there's to be without a car because
Mhm.
remember, my car got repossessed a couple
Repossessed
years
three
back. So I'm like,
times.
3 times. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
my car gonna be just fine. I can get
Mhm.
around. I
Mhm.
going on this plane.
Yeah.
I went on the plane with literally no money, just enough to cover all of the accommodations,
Yeah.
travel, etc. And that was a move of faith. That one conference opened so many doors around the world. To this day, I still have those relationships and I can call on those relationships. And they have opened so many doors as relates to my business that I haven't been, that I couldn't have paid for. And so sometimes we are afraid to invest in faith. We're afraid to move in faith. We're afraid to speak in faith. Whatever that faith move is, we are afraid to do it because, again, it's the unknown. But what happens, and this concept of what happens if I fail?
Mm.
And I always say, well, what happens if you fly? Why are you focused on the failure? What happens if you succeed? Focus on the success and move in faith. And I could go on faith. So
I love that. See that? You encouraged my friend Odessa. Come on, come on. We definitely got to get you back on there. All right, so let's go. Number 6. So y'all getting this? So number 1 is clarity. Number 2, potential. Number 3, plan. Number 4, passion. Number 5, faith. What is number 6?
Number 6 is now the part that tests your faith in a lot of cases.
Hold on.
And
Sorry to cut you off. I have to read this. Charmaine say, child, if you ain't got no faith or have little faith, you will be scared hanging around Keshelle.
Oh yeah.
Just thought I should
Listen,
let you know that. All
you
right, I
need
had to
this.
read
Don't
that.
operate in fear around me.
Listen, I love
Because
that.
no.
I love that. You see, there's some people that you have to have in your circle. And if the person who you have ain't encouraging you and try carrying you and pushing you, or don't have enough faith to be around you, to help push you into your faith, you don't need them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Number 6.
Number 6 is you want to understand the process.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have faith, or we developing our faith. We have the plan. We have the potential, the passion, all of that stuff. The process is what keeps us either stuck or causes us to stop. The process is the difficult times, the discouragement, the death. Things happen in our life that don't go well, that don't go right, and it happens to many of us. It's happened to all of us, right? And our process may be different. Like the first year in my business, again, it was my car. That was a big process for me. Like, okay, for someone else, I remember speaking to someone, she was building her business as well. And she didn't have electricity for almost a year, but she was committed. In darkness at home, she was during the nighttime, she was working on her business. And so whatever the process is, one, recognize that it's there to develop you, to strengthen you, to build your character. It's not there to stop you. And so I want us to realize that when the vision, back to the dreams, whatever dreams you have this year, there will be some things that you will go through that will challenge you.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of defining and recognizing, okay, this is a part of the process.
Yes.
This is, and one of my favorite lines is trust the process.
Yes.
And that's an easy thing to say when you're in the process. But when you are going through difficult times, you have to trust the process, because that's a part of the vision, the principles to make your dreams real.
One thing about process, a couple of things about process is one, if you don't have the faith while you're going through the process,
You see that? You need it.
listen, and I'm glad that the way that you're doing this is so strategic.
Absolutely.
And it's like when you go through the process and you have that faith, it makes it so much easier to go through it, because you know that at no matter what, you're coming
Something
out
is
as
coming
pure
out.
as gold. You're coming out with that vision that you said, especially if God placed that inside of you. It's like you coming out of it with the promise that he said that you're gonna have. And another thing about process that I'm presently going through, it don't matter how much you cry.
Oh yeah, crying no
you
more.
don't have, you could be a millionaire, you could be the most famous person in the world, you still have to go through
you have
it.
to go through it.
All right, you could speak as much tongues as you want to. The people, the pastor could come with anointing oil and oil you.
Yes.
In vernacular, and earl you up.
Yep, you
could
go
fall on the
through
floor
it.
and they could put the little cloth over you, but honey, you still got to go through that. When you wake up and you don't
Absolutely.
wipe up your face from all the oil, you still have to go.
You can't shortchange it. You
cannot.
can go around it.
You
You
cannot.
have to go through it. And I was talking to my husband today, and yesterday I was listening to the story of Joseph.
Yes.
Just the process that he went through.
Yes.
I'm like,
I
God,
spoke
you
about Joseph today
really,
as well.
you just really like you. It's a serious process.
Yes.
And you just have to trust and believe. And that's why passion is so important as well, because it's something has to hold you during that time. But if we don't realize that it's a normal part of the process, it's a normal part of our goal achievement, we take it on as a negative.
Yes.
And we say, okay, well, this isn't for me. I wasn't cut out for this in the first place. Or we stop. And I think a lot of people fall right here.
Come on.
They can't take it, and they quit. They quit in this season of whatever the processing is. And it's easy to quit, mind you, because it's easy.
Oh, I sorry. I have to stop right now. Somebody out there, this is for someone pertaining to marriage. You know for a fact that you and your significant other have been called to ministry, but you don't see it right now. You know that you've been called for it. You don't see it right now. You see the opposite. You see everybody acting the fool. You know what I mean? You see confusion. You see misunderstanding, miscommunication. I want you to know that in the midst of all of that, you still have to go through the process. You have to go through that. The miscommunication, you have to go through the bad times, you got to go through the valleys, you got to go through all of that before you can actually come out and say, we're gonna do ministry together, or we're gonna go and save lives together. Because I can tell you, in order for you to come out in its purest form, or to have the anointing and actually go forth and get it done, you have to be pruned. You have to be pressed. All right. And we have this all the time with the olive. In order for you to have pure olive oil, the olive has to be pressed. And with gold, the gold has to be refined. Diamonds as well. You get all of that. The crushing process does not mean that you quit.
Yes.
The crushing process doesn't mean that you separate. The crushing process doesn't mean that you go to the divorce lawyer. I had to share that. That was heavy on me just now.
No, that's important.
All right?
That's important. And, before we go on to the next step, I was thinking about, my journey. And 2 years ago, I started with this company in the US, coaching their clients around the world. Yeah. And it was a part of this vision because, I'd set myself years back that I wanted to work globally. And I got the opportunity. Only God gave me that opportunity. Only God, the way it happened. And there was a person in that company that was terrible.
Wow.
she was rough.
Mm.
She was tough. And she put me through. And she, not just me, just the company itself,
Yeah.
the employees itself, the team. And many days I was like, God, I work for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to take this.
I don't need to take this.
I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
I am quite fine working for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And many days I'm like, no, God, no, God, no. To seeing me,
Mm-hmm.
I work for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn would be like, well, this what people go through when you work in teams. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just seeing what I go through.
Mm-hmm.
I let me stress myself out.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept going back to God. I'm like, God, just saying for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept saying, I haven't released you.
Wow. That's it right there.
And I'm like, God, just saying for me. God, I don't want to be here. And I never got my release. A year later, she got fired. I'm still working with that company today. And I'm like, but when I look back, that process was so rough.
Yeah.
But it strengthened me because it showed me that there's a global standard that is different from the standard that I was used to.
Yeah.
And I had to recognize that that was a part of the process to strengthen me and to see what the world is looking for
Oh my goodness.
versus what I've been used to in my little, 21 by 7.
Corner, yeah.
And so trust the process.
Trust the process. Let me read real quick a few statements on Facebook just before we go into this break. Someone says there is no palace before enjoying the pit. Someone says process is like a seed being planted. Someone says process is big, your back, son.
Child.
You know. Mr. Davis says you can talk yourself into avoiding the process, but without the process, you will not accomplish the dream. And someone says, yes, we all have to be crushed to come out like pure gold. And someone says, keep moving forward, knowing God is with you. Remember Psalm 23:4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Madam Jillian says, yes, trust the process. All right. Lucretia says, love it. God is the master strategist. All right. We have to know these things. We're going to take a quick break so that we can continue on with step 7 to 12 on this last round. Okay. So let's go, DZ. I love it. There's a scripture and I can't remember it verbatim. Let me see if I can remember something about the testing of your faith produces patience. And when patience, help me, because when patience has come into full bloom or maturity, it brings forth perfection or something like that. Something like that. Let's find that because I won't quote it off. If y'all know it, y'all should let us know where to find it, please. The testing of our faith. Let me see if I can look that up as well. But I love that scripture.
One of my scriptures, I never can remember where it is. It says, if you fall apart in a difficult season, it wasn't meant for you in the first place.
Oh, that in the scripture?
It's a proverb.
Oh, that's one of them. Oh, that's a proverb. Okay, that's one in their message, and I'm
yes, it's a message version.
Keshelle, that sounds good. Oh, yes, James 1, 2 to 4. That's the amplified version. Let me just read the amplified version. Be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. And let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing. That's not me. Like when you go through it, it helps you to enjoy it. It gives you patience. It gives you all these different, it prunes your character. It helps you to appreciate what you're going through even more. All right. It helps you to appreciate when you actually get the reward of what you've been holding on to.
Yep.
Okay. Welcome back. Listen, we are having a ball here today. I know that eyes are being opened because it is through knowledge that the just be delivered. Y'all are being delivered. We coming out of this stuckness. We coming out of this cage. We coming out of this entrapped mindset. We coming out of that and we flying. We are propelling. We are thriving. We are going into purpose. All right. And that's what it's all about. I can tell you right now, we up to step 6 now. we're going into step 7, but for
Mhm.
now we have clarity, potential, plan, passion, faith, process. Now, Coach Keshelle, what is step number 7?
Step number 7 is an important one,
Mm.
and it's
Prior.
priorities.
Ooh.
We have these big, grandiose goals and dreams. We have these things we want to achieve this year. Remember, this year
Mm-hmm.
it's more than 24. I
Mm-hmm.
hear that everywhere. I'm like, okay, it's more. And I receive it, it's more than 24. But if you don't schedule your goals
Come on.
and have it organized and detailed as it relates to what is priority, life will get ahead of you and the goals will not become real. Priorities look like, okay, there's so many things that I could do.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities. What is the priority? Have you scheduled your goals? One of my favorite things is if it's not scheduled, it's not real.
Mm.
So what does that look like? You want to start a business. You want to write a book. Whatever it is, where in your calendar can I look at and I can see that you have allocated time
Mm.
to work on your business? Is it Monday nights? Is it Friday mornings? Is it the weekends? If you don't schedule it, prioritize your goals, we know what happens to our calendar. If we don't keep track of anything, not even our time, but
Yeah.
money, anyone don't keep track of money and it go away? Me. That's me.
No. Well, at least we confessing our sins. Go
If you
ahead.
don't keep track of your keys, what
Yeah.
happened? You just
Can't
you
find them.
can't find them.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with your time. If you don't keep track of your time, you will not have it to accomplish the goals and dreams. And
Yeah.
so look at your calendar, look at your month, look at your week and say, okay, you know what? Where in this week am I going to ensure that I get what I need to get done? Because
Yeah.
remember, we have the plan already. And the plan says to us that we need to do XYZ every week in order
Yeah.
to achieve the goals. We have a 15-week goals. We have to do something every week. What happens when the week passes and you can't look back and say I've achieved it? That means that you've not prioritized it. You've planned it. But have you prioritized making that goal a reality? The
Reality.
answer is no. And you still look back after a year and say it didn't get done.
I love that. And when you were saying that, I was thinking of people who um plan to lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
and be more fit. Yet they would plan everything else. They would plan going on bamboo shack climb, but they
Mm-hmm.
can plan,
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna spend half an hour to an hour. Even if you don't even have to go to the gym, you could do things at home. You could get
Absolutely.
a jump rope. You could run around your neighborhood or whatever. Have you planned that?
Yeah.
And then you have some people who want to have a successful family, but then their priorities are also mixed up
Mm-hmm.
because their goal is to have a successful family, but then they would rather do other things
Yes.
and then neglect what is most important or more important. And of course, that is actually vital because now you are neglecting what is really important,
Yeah.
and you're using something else as priority.
And I have to share this because that is so touching. Because when I say I look at my life all the time and I have things going on, I'm like, which one of these happened? I remember my husband and I, and I've never shared this. We were planning. He was, working on planning a family.
Yeah.
And you gotta make sure you're in place to make sure some things happen.
Right.
And I remember we had already decided, okay, these things are going to happen. I'm going to be available,
Yeah.
and I had this event, good event, man. And child, I didn't want to leave the event because I'm like, man, this is what I do. I work in,
Yeah.
and child, I came home and he was so upset
Because y'all had a plan.
because we had a
Y'all supposed to
plan,
do something.
and I look back and I'm like, and I started to get defensive because I'm like, well, I have this. I was at this event and I was working and doing my thing. And I look back at that, remember started sitting down that night and just reflecting, okay, which one of these principles did I violate? I always ask that question when something isn't going right. And priorities came up. Like, you know what? Yes, you were having a good time at that event, but was that the priority that you needed to have compared to the vision and the goal that you set for yourself? And I had to say, okay, no, that was not. I had the wrong priorities that day. And so it could easily happen that, okay, yeah, we could be doing some good things, but not the prioritized thing.
Exactly.
If we say that we want to make a goal real.
I love that. And it's true. It's like it could be good, but it doesn't mean that that's top priority. It may not even be God. So you may be delaying your own self. So let's go on.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Step number 8.
Step number 8. Take a guess, man. I don't give you all 8. I don't give you all 7.
Man,
Another
last
it's
time,
another
the
P.
first time
It's plenty P's.
what do you think of that, sir?
We started to talk about this one a little earlier, and I hinted that it was coming back up.
I don't know my little leg.
3 seconds. 3.
People.
People. There we go.
Look at Jesus. Look at Jesus. Look at you.
People. Recognize people's influence on the ability to achieve your dreams. I do not believe. In fact, let me flip it. I believe that the only way that we can achieve our goals and dreams is through people, with people.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to the mindset that you have to do this by yourself, or the saying, I could do bad all by myself, or I don't need nobody. No, I'm sorry. You need people. We need people.
Yes.
Right? And people there's so many types of people that we need. Like we talked about earlier, having those people to encourage you, to push you, to lift you as you go through the goal. Again, whatever goal it is, having people to really guide you and give you the plan. Sometimes there's a book that I love called Who Not How. It's a really good book, because we tend to say, okay, I have this goal. How can I do it? And the book talks about, no, before you ask the how, ask the who. Who do I know? And because sometimes we try to figure out the how on our own, when all we need to say, okay, who do I know that can help me? And that person could give us the entire how in one sitting.
I love that.
And so recognize people's influence. The people you need are the cheerleaders, are the people who will guide you, the people who will direct you, the people who will support you in your goals and dreams. I have not achieved anything in any career path or any business goal that I've had or anything that I've achieved. It always was through some community, or there is a community of people that I leaned on. It's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must.
One thing about, like I said, with people, when you have favor on your life, honey, favor could take you places where your finances cannot. I am a living example.
Oh, yes.
And proof that favor has brought me in, took me through so many doors.
Yes. Relationship currency.
Just that, relationship currency. I love that. Yes, it will take you. And then, so you can't be home sitting down watching Netflix all the time when you have opportunities where you can actually network, because you never know. And we have this saying, but who you know in the Bahamas, right? But honestly, it is honestly the truth. Because
it's who you know and who knows you.
Right. Both. There's a negative to that as well. But we're talking about the positive. Yeah. Stay focused, y'all. So it's like who you know would say, okay, well, I can do this for you. I can help you with this, or I know someone who knows someone. I went to a party last week. Was it last weekend? Saturday before last, where the hostess of the party said, listen, we have all kind of people in this room. We got bankers, we got police officers, we got all these lawyers, whatever. You all get to network with one another. You all get to know who y'all are, who they are, whatever, because you never know when you're going to need them.
Yeah.
And that is so important. Yeah. You have to get out of this thing where, child, I only come into this thing and I stick into myself and go sit in my corner.
We have to stop being afraid to ask for help.
That's a good one.
We have too much pride as people in a lot of cases. We do not want to ask for help. And I've had to get over that, because sometimes, again, we say, oh, I could do it by myself. No, ask for help. We cannot be afraid to ask for help, especially if it's, again, a vision and a goal. I remember when I wrote my first book. My second book was a people collaboration. My first book, I wanted Sharon Lecter, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? If you know Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Sharon Lecter and Think and Grow Rich, this woman is nowhere near my radar. But I was writing a financial book, and I wanted her to write my foreword for the book. And I didn't know her at the time, but I was teaching financial literacy, and that was her area. And it was through one of the gentlemen that I worked with in financial literacy, I shared my vision. And, this is who I want to achieve. This is who I want to write my foreword. I was adamant that I wanted her to be it. And he made the connection.
See?
And then I share, and then his credibility, me talk about borrow people's
Yes.
belief. You want to borrow people's credibility as well.
Yes.
His credibility opened the door and she responded.
Mm.
And now I have a relationship with her where I call her mom.
Ooh.
And so the things that you want, I always say God sends everything to this earth through a person.
Yeah.
And so if you're afraid to share your vision, there's people who say, well, I want to tell people. Yeah, you have to tell the right people.
The right people.
But if you are afraid to share your vision and your goals with people in general, especially people who have the ability to support you, you are not going to make that goal real, because that's the person you need. That's the open door right there that you have been
carrier.
praying for,
Mm-hmm.
that you've been wondering, how am I going to do this? One call could get something done.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're afraid to connect with, associate with, align with people who are related to what you want to achieve, you're going to fail.
Yeah, that goes back to planning, number 3, where we talk about just doing research. So if you're in a particular field, go and look for people who've done the same thing, who've been through that process, or who've done the steps. Okay, it may not be the exact, you're not going to go through the exact steps as somebody else, but at least they can help and guide you and give you wisdom to know how to go ahead with it. So I absolutely love that. People,
before we go on to the next step, I have to add this. Sometimes you have to invest to get to the right people.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I invested in that relationship that opened the door to Sharon Lecter.
Okay.
That wasn't okay, let's be friends. No.
You had to.
You had to invest. The best relationships that I've gotten that have opened the door for my business to go global was because I've paid $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. We're talking numbers here. To get in rooms with people who think on a much higher level than I was thinking.
Now that's a good one for
so I could go on there, but let me stop there. Sometimes you have to invest in certain situations to get in certain rooms where certain people are to open doors for you.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a good one. And that requires faith too.
That requires faith. Okay.
All right, let's go to number 9.
Number 9 is an important one. They're all important. This is another P, and that's provision. Employ the provision. That's your money, y'all. Employ the provision for your vision, right? Going back to that investment, right? If you say that you want to achieve anything, business, write a book, family, whatever it is, it takes money. Money is a tool to reach your dreams. And so if you are looking at your money and you do not see how you're investing or utilizing the tool of money to make your dreams real, again, you're going to be stuck. I have heard so many people when I ask them, okay, you have this goal, you have this dream, why are you not doing it? Well, I have no money. Listen, if you wait until the money to start, you will not start. That's just not how it works. If you wait until you get the money, you will stay right here, and come January, what today is, 14, 2025, you're going to still be waiting for the money. You must start. Start looks like, even if you have $1, putting that towards it, talking to the people looking for investment, using your money wisely. But do not say that you are not achieving your goals if you don't have the people, if you don't have the because you don't have the provision. The provision comes when you start moving.
I love that. And another thing about this is so important for those who for a fact God has placed that vision in you. The God I know, and the God I think Coach Keshelle knows, the God I know Coach Keshelle knows that He's not gonna give you a vision and then leave you stranded.
Correct.
Absolutely not, because you ain't messing up His reputation, because He's flawless.
I like to say, God, you must see no.
Oh, because you
must see no. Why you tell me go down me? Okay. You must see no. I don't need to know. You must see no. And once you know, I good.
That's it, and that's all. Let me go to sleep.
I good.
All right. What you up for?
You telling me?
Why are you up? All right, he
Listen,
gives his beloved rest and sleep, sweet sleep.
sweet, sweet.
Why are you up thinking about finances when he has provided
You
the
must see no
vision to
God.
you?
Yeah.
Let him. He is the God who owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. He has everything. He created heaven and earth.
Yeah.
He created the man who created the money. You don't think that
Yes.
he can provide what you need to get the vision accomplished?
I have to share this story. I have so much provision stories,
Come
but this
on.
one came to me. So, and I have a lot of business stories because that's my playground. So forgive me if y'all are like
Go
business
ahead.
talk.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Um, the end of 20, I can't remember which year. I don't keep dates in my head. So let me don't try to remember the year.
Thank you.
But I wanted to make an investment in my business for this coach.
Yeah.
And I was stuck at a certain revenue level, and I'm like, boy, I know this is the next coach for me. I believe in coaches. I'm a coach, but I have coaches, and I
Yes.
invest in coaches. And I remember this gentleman that I wanted to work with. His investment at that time was $15,000. At that time, that was the most money I've invested. I've done more since then. But I was like, I don't have no $15,000 to work with you. But I knew that he was the person I wanted to work with. And so they say, okay, put $500 down. And you have X amount of days. I think it was like 10, 15 days to find the money. I didn't know how I was finding that money. But I sure put about $500 down. And I'm like, God, you must know how you going to do this. Because I don't know, but I get it. This was in December. It was a conference in Vegas. Came back home, and I just carry on. But in my back of my head, I'm like, okay, I need to find this money. Now, my business, I do corporate training outside of my business coaching. And December is usually a dead month. Clients ain't calling me to train their staff in December. That's Christmas time.
Yeah.
I literally got off the plane. That was a Monday. Never forgot it. I literally got off the plane. Like, my phone blowing up. I'm like, why my phone blowing up? Why? And I was like, why this person trying to call me? This was a corporate client. Say, Keshelle, I need you to come in and train my staff next week or whatever. And what's your bill? I know you expensive, but what's your bill? I say, sir, I knew that was God.
Yeah.
Because I literally, because he was an old, long time client, so I could have talked to him like this.
Yes.
So I say, sir, if you could get me, I don't care how much I charge at this moment. If you could pay this bill, I think it was like $5,000.
Yeah.
Within 2 days, you will have it for that training. And that money was in my account within 2 days. And I was able to pay the bill.
Come on. Come on.
And then I just was able to continue the monthly payments from there. But you have to start.
You have
The
to start.
money will come.
The money will come.
And that's just one story, but we can stop there.
Raquel says, God ain't asking us to see the full staircase. Just take the first step. That's all it takes. It's the first step. Now, because of time, we want to move on. But that's what they be doing. We're going to get 3 more. So number 10 is
persistence.
Persistence.
Use persistence. And that's we know what that is. That's just giving up. That's just not giving up.
Not giving up.
That means that, we're gonna go ahead and just get things done no matter what. That's the determination that we that we must have. Number 11 is patience.
That's a good one.
This one is kill you. This one. Be patient in the fulfillment of your dreams. Sometimes we want it yesterday, and sometimes it happens quickly, but other times it do not. And if you're a visionary person like me, once I see the vision, I want it done tomorrow.
Now,
like, okay, you don't show me this. I working now. Why is it taking so long? And I had to learn patience.
Come on.
I had to learn patience, and it's I'm still working on it from time to time, but generally I've accepted that things happen in the time it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
And you could have all of the plans, you can have all of the persistence, all of that stuff, but patience still is a critical piece of making your vision real. And so it's just trusting that although it may not happen when you thought it would happen, having patience means, okay, I'm still believing it will happen whenever it does.
I love that. And about patience too. My God, I've been tested, I've been tried, I've been crushed, and in the midst of all of that, I realized that when you are impatient, you tend to go outside of what God is asking,
Absolutely.
and then you mess everything up. You delay the process. Process is number 6. You delay the process.
Absolutely.
You reroute where God is taking you because you're being impatient.
Absolutely.
All right. What you do is that you have to say, okay, God, I trust you in this process, which means that if I trust you, I'm gonna take my hands off of it. I was one, and since we confessing, let me start my confession too. I was one who would give whatever it is that God has promised me, and I don't see it yet, back into His hands and say, God, this is what you said, and I'm gonna give this to you because you said it, and that settles it. And you know what I'm saying? Who's been making noise in church? Yeah, that was me, right? And then when you see about 2:00, I ain't see nothing yet. Come, give me this little bit. Let me take this back from you. Let me see if I can do my stuff because you're taking too long.
It's taking too long.
Okay,
God,
let me see if I can do this.
How long this
and
can
so
take?
what happens is it delays the issue. It makes matters worse.
And it frustrates us unnecessarily.
Unnecessarily frustrates us.
Yeah.
And so let's go to the big boy.
And the
12.
last one, it ties it all together in a bow, and that's connection. Stay connected to the source of your vision. Because when you're impatient and when you're going through the process and when your passion is waning, the plans ain't working, you don't believe in your potential, who was the source of that vision? Go to God. Many days I've gone to God, I'm like, God, I'm done with this. I'm done. Okay? You keep it. Let me stay in my corner. And I remember one day, and I'm done. I remember one time I was talking to God. It's like, God, I'm done. Like, I am tired. You just ain't working out. I thought it was going to work. It's taking too long. And I'm done, God. I remember going up to an elevator to work with a client one day, and gone in the elevator, just started a conversation with God. And this gentleman, I don't know him.
From Jabim.
From Jabim. He was in the elevator. He's like, you that girl who write for the Guardian. I used to write for the Guardian back then. And he was like, I said, yes, sir. He's like, whatever you do, don't give up. Don't stop. This true story, he said, don't stop. Don't stop. Whatever you do. I'm like, okay, God. Okay.
I get it.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
And so go back when you're having those difficult moments, when you're trying to get these goals and these dreams, go back to the source of your vision and tell him what you're feeling, and he will work it out because he does.
That's what I love, those steps. And we have 5 more minutes on the radio portion, so I want to make sure the radio people get these good juicy nuggets, because Facebook is be lit after we didn't finish. But I seriously didn't finish, because that's when we want to try lay it all out. Let me see if we can get the radio listeners a little bit of this too. But let me gonna go through the steps. 1, clarity. 2, potential. 3, plan. 4, passion. 5, faith. 6, process. 7, priorities. 8, people. Now with people, remember, now you're borrowing people's credibility and you're borrowing their belief. 9, provision. Empty the provision for your vision. No, I'm sorry, employ, right? Put empty there. Employ the provision for your vision. Number 10 is persistence. Number 11 is patience. And number 12 is connection, which are all vital steps in order for you to achieve your goal, in order for you to get that the goals that you've written on paper into something that is tangible, something that you can actually touch and feel and know that, hey, I have done this, I've accomplished this. Let's move on to the next step. And these steps are so vital. And so in the midst of all of this, Keshelle, can you please repeat the name of this book again?
So the book that focuses on the 12 principles is The Purpose and Power of Vision by Dr. Miles Monroe. Now, what I have done, Trish, because I'm a trainer and I teach, I have taken those principles and turned it into a complete course with lessons, with worksheets, and it's called the Make It Real Method. Yes, if you are interested in getting a bundle of that training, you can just go to the makeitrealmethod.com, makeitrealmethod.com, and that gives you the complete listing of the steps or the principles and a training that goes into each one.
With it. Yes. Listen, if you like this now, and this is only an hour and a half.
I could have spoken an hour on each one of those topics.
On each one. Can you imagine being in your presence so that they can actually get the full throttle You distracting me, man, Dee. You distracting me. Stay focused. All right? Stay focused. You can imagine just being in your presence and getting the full throttle of what these steps really look like.
I
All
break
right,
it
that's
down.
amazing. So I want you to share with us how we can connect with you for
Yes.
those who want to go further, who wants more information, because this radio show could only give you so much in
Yeah.
the little time that is allocated to us.
Yes. So again, if you want the training, and it's a digital program, so you could buy it and go through the whole training, it's makeitrealmethod.com. So that's one way. If you have any questions, because I do dream coaching and vision coaching, especially even around business, making business dreams real, I can be found on any social media platform, KeshelleDavis.com. Or you can go to my website, KeshelleDavis.com, and you see my options, and you see a way to contact me as well.
Okay, so all of your contact, the social media, everything, it's Keshelle Davis.
.com.
Okay,
Yes.
KeshelleDavis.com.
Keshelle Davis on social media everywhere, KeshelleDavis.com.
And guess what?
And that's KESHELLE.
Okay, KESHELLEDAVIS. Y'all should know how to spell Davis. All right, with 1 minute left. Do you have any last minute? And that's only for the radio because we still got some time on Facebook. But do you have any last minute thoughts or insights or advice that you want the audience to know?
I want to leave with a quote, and it's a quote by Dr. Miles, and he said, the poorest person in the world is a person without a dream. And the most frustrated person in the world is a person with a dream that doesn't become a reality. And so all of us have a dream in our hearts, so none of us are poor.
No.
Because God has placed a dream in every single one of us. Sometimes we are frustrated because we don't know how to make that dream a reality. And if you are at that place, reach out to someone, speak to someone, because the last thing that you want to do is leave this earth without fulfilling the dream that that's been placed in your heart and soul. And so whatever you do, it doesn't have to be me. It can be Coach Trish. It can be anyone that you feel connected to who believes in seeing people reach their dreams. And make a decision to do that this year. And if it costs something, see it as an investment in your future and do it. Make that goal real.
I love that. Now our producer, we want him back. He distracted me. It's time to go. It's time to wrap up. We got you. Okay? I'm only kidding. He's wonderful. He's an excellent producer. I'm grateful for DZ. But yeah, and as you're on the quotes from Dr. Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, there are a few that I know too. And one is that the grave is the richest place that you could possibly, because that's where people, who have the potential, they just leave it there. And another thing he said, and I will never forget this, I graduated in 2001 and he spoke at my graduation. He said, when purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. Come on, you got to know your purpose. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing. You have to know the why so that you could know how to go about doing it 100% and doing it the right way without abusing what is actually purposed and meant for, whatever that is. It could be your marriage, it could be you, it could be your children, everything. I love that. Beautiful. That's just so beautiful. All right. And so we're closing up, and I want to remind my listeners about a scripture in Habakkuk 2 verse 2 that says, then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right. So for those who, it's Habakkuk 2 verse 2, go and write your vision. All right. Make it plain, make it simple. All these steps that you've been given free of charge. All right. The free consultation was today. Anything after that, come and invest. Come invest. All right. So if you're looking, and this is live reads, is from Your Lane Life Coaching. If you need coaching in any area of your life, including premarital coaching, knowing how to restore your marriage, how to stand for your marriage, even when you feel abandoned, or how to build the relationship, please go to my website, www.yourlanelifecoaching.com, and schedule a booking. I would love to help you improve your life and your relationship. Now, next week's show, since we're talking about all this, I can't let us do body, you can't do mind and spirit and forget the body, because you're going to need it. No slapping up around here. In fact, the only time I want you to slap is when you go slap your neighbor and tell them don't miss next week's show. All right. Slap your neighbor and tell your neighbor don't miss next week's show. Next week, to those who have fitness as a part of their new year's resolution, we have with us Coach Paul Wilson, aka Mighty Mouse, in studio with us under the topic, the blueprint for achieving and maintaining your fitness goal. And we'll tell you more about that as the week progresses. All right. You want to know how to maintain that nutrition, how to stay fit. You may not have the finances at the moment to invest and go into the gym, but there are some things that you can do at home. You could go on YouTube. YouTube have lots of home exercising and stuff that you can do. He's also a personal coach, and he can help you in case you do not want to go around people and do something privately. All right, so we'll talk about that a little later, and of course you want to tune in next week for that. Today's show was brought to you by the Perfume Bar, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Bahama Ordnance Party Supplies, and Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. I want to thank my producers DZ and Odessa Francis, and to Your Lane's continued listening audience and first-time listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank my beautiful coach and guest, Coach Keshelle Davis. Thank you so much for being a part of Your Lane Talk Show. You've been blessing, you've added value, and we are grateful for you, and I'm most certain that people have been their eyes have been opened. There are some steps that you've shared, and even as you elaborated on them, that people may be like, oh, guess what, I missed this step. And if it was a takeaway from me is the fact that I want to keep these steps with me, so that when I'm going through my day, when I'm doing I sit back and I like to reflect before I go to bed. And I want to go through these steps every day. I'm going to make that a point of what I'm doing. I'm going to go through each step to find out if I've accomplished these daily. All right. So that is something that I'm going to do. And I implore you to go ahead and do the same for those, my listeners. All right. And to the entrepreneurs out there, if this show has been a blessing to you and you wish to sponsor the show, please call 376-8689. We would love to have you on board. We have some awesome packages to suit your budget. Go ahead and call 376-8689 to come on board and sponsor Your Lane Talk Show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. You can go to Coach Trish Hanna on YouTube to watch the previous shows. Please like and subscribe when you go there. And I pray that you were all empowered into... Why is it entertain? Entertain too, but that's not what my empowered, educated, and encouraged today. And until next time, have a blessed Sunday, everyone. Bye-bye.
Amen.
Creativity is in
All right, so thank you so much to my Facebook audience for tuning in. Everyone is saying that this was indeed a blessing. People have been blessed. Someone say, look at God. People have been there. They've been through the process. They know some of these processes. I'm most certain that you've opened so many eyes, like I've said before. So Facebook, if y'all have any last minute requests or any little last thing that y'all want to share, please share. We got like 2 minutes, so we can just make sure that Coach Keshelle can go home to her one good husband, please, because y'all can't be wasting up her time right here. All right. But there was a question that I wanted to ask, but because of time, we couldn't do it. So real quick, I want to know what advice you have for maintaining momentum and staying focused on the path to achieving these 12 steps.
And that's a good question. One, it goes back to clarity. Having that dream board, as I believe that dream board is a tool. It's not just a fun thing that you do at the beginning of the year. And how does it bring momentum? When you have that board and you have a rough day and you have a rough month and you have a rough couple of weeks, you should be able to look at that board and keep that, and that should keep you inspired, right? So that's one. Number two, I always go back to these principles. The way that I gain momentum is through people, right? When I feel like, okay, I don't want to do it, or I being lazy. We all have those moments. Who are you connecting with? Because then you go to that person and say, buddy, I'm into it today. And that person should be able to say, remember that goal? Remember that dream? Get up off your butt and get it done. And so it's the same principles. And ask yourself, okay, what do I need? Which one of these do I need? If I've lost momentum, it could be maybe I don't have the skill that I need. So that's potential. Okay, what class I need to take to be able to get that momentum back,
Mhm.
right? And so these principles, they guide you. So whenever you something isn't right, ask yourself, which one of these principles am I violating, or which one of these principles do I need to work on right now? So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And my final thing is I believe that we should work. I believe that we should put the time in. I believe that we should invest and all these different things.
Mhm.
But when do we rest? At what point can we say, guess what? You've
Mm.
done well. You could turn on the TV for about half an hour to
Oh
an hour
yeah.
to watch a nice something. At what point do you call rest instead of saying I'm procrastinating?
I love this. Rest is significantly different from procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
Rest should be built into your days and your weeks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it should not be confused with procrastination
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, for example, Sundays today is a sacred day. I rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
There should be some times in your at the end of the day where you say, okay, you know what? I like to say bless the desk. That's what I say when I at my office. I'm like, okay, it's time to rest. I
Mm-hmm.
can bless the desk. Whatever I've done here today, that's what I'm doing. It's done. That's it. Turn off the computer, go and relax. And so that should be done well enough where you're not tired and going after your goals and dreams, which is a whole other thing because we
Mm-hmm.
get tired. When you procrastinate now, that means that you know that it's something that you need to do, and you have decided that this is when I had needed to do it, back to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you know that Fridays at 1 p.m. you should be writing because you plan to write a book,
Mm-hmm.
but you laying up and watching Netflix, that's procrastination. That's
Yeah,
not rest.
that's not right.
That's not rest, because you should be resting throughout the week. So you know that, okay, this is my rest time. This is my work time. And if you're resting during work time, you're going to find out why. You need to
Okay.
find out why.
Listen, I have to share this. This is so important. On Saturday, January 27th,
Mm-hmm.
Jillian Curry Williams and the Tribe presents The Teacher is Coming. I don't know if you've ever
Mm.
heard of Pastor Kevin L.A. Ewing, a
Mm-mm.
significant, oh no, she been under the rocks, y'all. She
Mm-mm.
been
Tell
Coach
me,
Keshelle Davis,
tell
please.
me who
I
I
don't know
need.
what you're doing on Saturday the 27th this year,
27. Okay.
2024, but I need you to be present.
When is
I
that?
need
What
you to
is
be
that?
present.
Send that to
This
me.
is going to be, I'm going to send you the flyer. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, it is on my platform,
Okay.
on my Facebook. It's on Dr. Jillian's Facebook as well. It's actually on Pastor Kevin's Facebook as well. But this is a significant teacher. He's a pastor. He dissects the word of God
Mm.
thoroughly. I'm not
Okay.
saying to go leave your pastor, and I'm not saying go leave your church, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
listen to me. It's a different type, and I'm not someone who just listen to any and everybody.
Right.
But I can tell you this,
Okay.
and he's a Bahamian. Because the first time I heard, it, I was like, "Oh Lord, where this man is?" I would never think this man is a
Wow.
Bahamian. He's from Freeport. He is coming over to it, and it says yes, join us for an inspiring day filled with wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual growth. Be
Mm.
prepared for a transformative experience. Listen, it's going to be at the Cancer Society on Saturday, the 27th of January. And guess what, Doctor? I call you Doctor. I wonder if I'm saying this in the spirit.
Receiving it.
Dr.
Receiving it.
Keisha, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? It's absolutely free. It is
Okay. Are you
absolutely
looking at
free.
it now
All
on my
right. All
page?
right. And the only thing you have to do is register. And the only thing you're doing
Okay.
is when you actually WhatsApp this number, you just put in your name there. That's it. That's all. No
Mm.
long story. We don't know but your cat. We don't know but your dog. All we will know is that your name is there. So your first and your last name, to make sure that you are present and available for that particular day.
Okay.
This is like, and I don't mean to say it like this. I'm trying to see if I could find another way. Maybe I could use John and not Jesus. But
Mm.
he's someone where when he speaks, you want to sit at his feet and hear what he has to say,
Mm.
because he speaks in a way that is layman. He speaks in a way that is thorough. And it's like you would read a particular scripture 100 times, but you get to see it in a
Okay.
different light when Pastor Kevin speaks.
Wow.
And this is someone, like I said, I do not really, promote people like that, because the arms of flesh will fail you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fruit is what I look at when I look at people that I want to listen who I want to listen to.
Okay.
His name is Pastor Kevin L. Ewing, and it's Dr. Jillian Curry Williams and her tribe that will
Okay.
be hosting this. All right. So once
Mhm.
again, this is Saturday, the 27th of January. It starts at 10 a.m. And of course, you have an opportunity to ask questions at the end as well. It's located at the Cancer
Cancer
Society.
Society.
And this is the important thing. And Dessa, can you type this in for me? This is the number to call to register. The number is 818-9764. That's
Okay.
818-9764. This
Beautiful.
magnificent, anointed Pastor Kevin L. Ewing has more than, I don't know, what, 40,000 plus more people from all over the world. People they're hungry for truth. And that is what he dispels. He literally speaks truth, and that's it. That's it. And that's all.
I love it.
Coach, doctor, what else I can say? What else we saying? Well, you done an author. All of that, please, we want you present.
All right,
It's
all
important.
right.
It's imperative. 818-9764 is the number to register. All right. So I had to share that. And I will be sharing that every Sunday up until the event. And I am most certain that this is not going to be the last one, but let's see how we can go about with this first one. Every time he comes over, they ask, when is he coming back? When he coming back? People don't want to leave.
Wow.
Yeah,
I just followed him.
I'm telling you, please do. And listen, and he's on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Pastor Kevin L. Ewing. And listen, and then you WhatsApp me and let me know. Girl, Trish, he talking sense. I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it. All right.
I love
So
it.
that's what I really wanted to share. So that's it, man. That's it. I think we have enough to keep us right now until we actually go on your website and try to see if we can book a consultation with you, and to do one-on-ones with you to get to know how we can get our
Make it
plans off of the vision board into reality.
Yep.
You've been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
I
coming.
love this.
Thank you.
We had fun. I know there was. I don't think there was 5% chance of laughter.
How much
So,
it was, do you think?
I think I.
You were funny. Yeah, we got plenty with you.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
yes.
I was
But
in the zone.
I think you did very well. Thank you. Is your husband a pastor?
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Glenn, Pastor Davis. Thank you so much once again. And thank you for everyone who's been tuning in. Pastor Doctor, let's call him Doctor
So
too.
if I am
He
a
is a
doctor,
doctor.
he's a doctor, Glenn. So that's why you call me doctor, because
I
his
didn't know
doctor
that.
is my doctor.
My God, yeah, because y'all are one.
That's it.
Okay, that's it, and that's all.
Mhm.
All right. So, Pastor Dr. Glenn Davis, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing us to have your wife on this Good Sunday. All right. Now she can go home. We could release her to go back into your arms, sir, so
Yes.
y'all can enjoy the rest of the Sunday together. Thank you, everyone. He laughing. He was last like this. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to your Lane Talk Show. I pray that you were blessed, and please don't forget to follow us as the year progresses, as the time progresses. This is some really good guests that we have on, and I'm always led to have these guests before I pray about it before I even have them on the show. So I know that what they say would be things that you would need to help propel you into purpose and to help you to remain focused as the years and the weeks and the years go. All right. So thank you and God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a happy Sunday, everyone.